A very common topic in the online cleaning business space, particularly from other so called gurus and coaches, is the topic of quoting and how you should be delivering your quotes and managing sales. And I see time and time again there's these cleaning business coaches and there's other people online on TikTok and social media that are saying you should never do in-person quotes and you should always do online or over the phone because in-person's a waste of time and all sorts of stuff. And I want to weigh in on that. So this is going to be a quick episode all about quoting and my experience with quoting and how I've managed and run my business for the past 7 years now, and why I think that I'm very much for in-person quoting as opposed to online. So I'll get into the numbers of it, some anecdotes, and also just some reasons why to kind of back up my belief system behind all of this. So yeah, if you've been following certain cleaning business coaches and on TikTok and Instagram, you've probably at some point heard this, and you've maybe been they've been dispelling the idea of doing in-person quotes for whatever reasons. They have different reasons for it, but in my experience, it has massively outperformed online quotes. And you could make an argument that the volume of online quotes is obviously a lot more than in-person quotes, and so the actual amount of converted quotes that you end up with for online versus in-person is going to be higher despite the lower conversion rate, simply because there's more of it. But I'd say for the majority of people listening to this, you don't have the luxury of having 3,000 quotes a year like my business has. We've had 3,000 quotes in the last 12 months that have come through our online form. And I'll tell you quite simply, point blank, our online conversion rate for quotes is around 5 to 10%. I don't even know what it is exactly at this point. I know in the past it's been 10%. I think it's actually lower now. We just don't really put any real effort into it. We have sort of a system for it. We have like a pricing table, a pricing estimate table that we use to do the quotes online. We've tested with like over the phone quotes where they just send through photos of the house, and like it goes against the whole point of in-person. The point of in-person isn't so you can actually see the property. That's where a lot of people get that wrong. Most people think, you do in-person so you can see the place and so you know what you're walking into and you're not getting caught out and underquoting or overquoting. But that's not the real reason you do in-person. That's not where the intrinsic value and the intrinsic power is tied up in doing in-person quotes. It's because that's where you set your point of difference. That's where you separate yourself from all the other cleaning businesses that could potentially be quoting online. And you go and meet this person, the homeowner, the customer, and that's where you begin to decommoditize yourself, because cleaning businesses, we're not offering a commodity, we're offering a service. And brand and personality and trust is the big overarching thing here. Trust. We're selling trust as a service. We're not selling a commodity. We're selling trust, and trust is built face to face. Whatever, despite what you may think, yes, partially it's built through brand. Brand is what's going to get you to the in-person quote, but then you as the business owner or whoever's going and doing the quote, that is the person that is really selling the prospect, the customer on the service. So our in-person close rate for quotes is around 90 to 95%. Now you compare that to the 5 to 10% for online quotes, that is a drastic difference. Now we obviously get way more online quotes, and yes, we probably, in absolute terms, we convert more customers through online quotes as opposed to in-person. But we can afford to do that because we have a very, very large volume of online quotes coming through. But I would say for the majority of people listening to this, you have a limited number of quotes that you do. So you need to make them count. And for you, the conversion rate is what's going to be really important. It's less about trying to increase volume, and it's more about just trying to refine that conversion rate and make sure that you're closing as many as you can out of it. For every 10 people that you see, you want to be able to turn 8 or 9 of those into customers. You don't want to have to go out and just get 20 leads instead of 10 and increase your marketing spend. And that's more of a band-aid solution. because if you fix the conversion rate first, then later on when you want to scale up your ad spend or whatever you do to get customers and leads, then you're scaling up your output as well because you've already fixed the conversion rate issue. That is the real problem here. So I think it's a band-aid solution. I think a lot of these people that are saying you shouldn't do in-person quotes because it's a waste of time and you're paying for fuel and you've got to go all the way out there and do it and there's a chance you don't even get the client and all this stuff, and it's like, you can just do that over the phone with photos and they can email through stuff, and it's like that's not the point. The point is about building trust. It's about getting in front of the person, and there's like a psychological barrier that gets brought down and overcome as soon as you step into someone's home. It's like if you've been invited into someone's home, you've pretty much been or you've pretty much done all the selling at that point. Like they have sold themselves on you because they've invited you into their home or into their office or whatever the place is that you're quoting. And so the hardest part by that point is done. And now all you have to do is not screw it up and just have a good head on your shoulders. Go in with a good tonality and good body language and just have a good conversation with them and build that trust and that rapport, and you win the client 9 times out of 10. The 10% of the time you don't win them, that's because they're like the rare, the price might be too high for them or whatever the thing is. And so what you want to have is you want to have a good combination of a few different things in your funnel. So a lot of people also say that you shouldn't have price transparency on your website. They say you shouldn't have, your hourly rate listed or your package prices listed or whatever it is. And again, I disagree with that. I think it's good to have price transparency. I think it's good to have price ranges on your website. So if you look at our funnel, if you ever want to go on our website, you'll see that we list a price range on our house cleaning service page. And that gives people an idea, a ballpark of what they might be paying for a service. Now we do that so people can self-select immediately. So they're not wasting our time and we're not wasting theirs. We don't want people to book an in-person quote and have their time wasted and our time and our money and our sanity wasted by going all the way there quoting it, and then they're like, oh, that's way out of my budget. So we have a price range. We have on our website, we have starting from prices. We don't say that this size house is going to cost this much. We say this is the minimum that it would cost, and then it can go all the way up to 1.5 times that price. So we give a bit of price transparency just so people can at least see if we're in their ballpark or not. And then once they decide whether or not we are, then they can book the in-person quote, and that's where we do the trust building, which is the important part. And that's something that you can't really do over the phone or over email as well as you can. And no matter how good your brand is, you're just not going to have that same effect as if you were to do an in-person quote. And so I think it's really important that we don't get sucked into that kind of narrative of like, oh, in-person quotes is a waste of time, and customers don't care about our time and they don't value us. And it's like if they're inviting you into their home, and they're sacrificing their time and they're making time out of their day to host you and show you around and have a conversation with you. There's one, like they're obviously pretty keen on having you in their house to actually clean it because they're making time for you and they're making that space for you. And two, it's giving you the opportunity to differentiate yourself from the sea of other cleaners, because when they go and look at a bunch of different cleaning websites, we're all more or less the same. It's until you get in front of them and they see who you are as a person and they see what you're like and you build that rapport and that relationship, that's when you become a separate service. That's when you decommoditize yourself and you have the best chance at closing business. So a lot of people are scared about price shoppers as well. I can guarantee you there's not that many people who are price shopping by having people, lots of different services come to their house and quote. It's a waste of time. Most people do not want to do that. And in my experience, I just don't get that. The conversations we have when we do in-person quotes, it's like they're pretty much already talking as if we're going to be cleaning there. They're like, when you clean here, make sure you do this, or like, I'm pretty much only free Wednesdays. Can we make the cleans Wednesdays? And so it's already like they've sold us, or they've sold themselves on us as a service. And they just want to kind of have that conversation and that pre-service walkthrough and that talk, and just get to know us and put names to faces and just have that chat, which they're not going to get online or over the phone. And there's a lot of value tied up in that you lose if you choose not to do that. And it also allows for less underquoting and more accurate scope assessment. And you can also, on the contrary, like just as much as they're trying to get a feel for you as the business owner, you can get a feel for them as the client in a way that you couldn't through online. So you might be able to see like, oh, this person might be a bit of a problem. Maybe I don't want to, deal with this. Maybe I don't want to have them as a customer. So you get that opportunity through doing in-person quotes. And yes, sometimes you will come across some people that you just don't want to be doing business with. And it's good that you found that out and you made that decision for yourself before you ever, locked in a service and went there, because we've had that happen as well. We still obviously close a lot of business through online quotes, and not a lot of the time, but sometimes we just realize that it's a customer we do not want, and it's not good. I actually had something happen recently where we did an initial clean for a customer that came through an online quote, and I'd never seen the house because we just have a ridiculous number of quotes coming in at this point. And I never saw the house. I got a bit of a weird vibe from the way they were emailing, and then the cleaner did the initial clean, and the place was bad. So you eliminate that entirely, and you get a much more clear view of what you'll be walking into, quite literally, because you do walk into the house, and you'll be able to have a much better time estimate. So if you're not great at quoting, or if you don't have a lot of experience with it, then you're going to be able to gauge it in the best way so that you're not underselling yourself or overcharging the client. And it also allows you to have that initial conversation where you can set expectations with the customer and run through any unanswered questions that they may have about the service, or just any other things that may come up later on. You can just get them addressed right then and there, and it results in less disputes going forward, less potential problems that may come up as the service goes on. And it's really a matter of like what type of business you want to build, because if you want to have a high value, high profit margin, sort of premium service business where you have great customers that pay more money, that respect you and value what you do, I think a big part of that is built from that human, that person-to-person connection, which all starts with an in-person quote. Like most cleaning businesses, they're fighting on price without ever realizing it. And the online quotes flatten your business into just another option. And if someone is submitting an online quote, they're doing it, I can guarantee you, at several other websites, because it's just too easy for them to submit a quick form and then hear back from a bunch of people, get some prices and be like, well, these businesses all look the same. The only difference is the price. I'm probably going to go with this cheaper one, or whatever it may be. That is eliminated with in-person. And when everything looks the same, price becomes the only differentiator. That's when the service becomes a commodity, and it's not a service that revolves around trust and the person behind the service. It's about the price. And you just don't really have a way to circumvent that with online. No matter how good your brand is, we've got an amazing brand. We probably have one of the most recognized brands in our city at this point for cleaning, and our conversion rate for online quotes is abysmal. And we've tried all sorts of things to make it better. And I don't put a lot of emphasis on it now. There's probably ways we could improve it, but it's just never going to touch the power of doing in-person quotes. So, like I said as well, it just opens up this fourth dimension that you don't get with online as well, where people can actually see you. They can, see your eye contact, your tone, your body language, which is all subconscious trust signals. And clients can ask questions on the spot that just come to them, and they don't have to go back and forth in emails and call you up. And, they may have a phone call and then they might forget later. And, it creates this a bit of a disparity, and you can instantly disarm fear around having strangers in the home, because again, it's like a really different dynamic when, they've never met this person that's going to be coming into their home while they're out of the house. And it's like a big trust thing. And you eliminate that fear, and you put that to rest just by starting things off on the right foot and doing an in-person quote from day one. And same thing with reliability. If you just show up on time and you make an appearance face to face, there is this element of this person's reliable. This is someone that I can count on. They've already shown up. Now I can rest assured knowing they'll actually show up to cleans, because that's a big thing in the industry as well. And quality as well. Just subconsciously, people are gonna see the quality and the value that's in your business by you showing up and being professional and taking the time out of your day to accommodate them and have that conversation with them about the service that they're interested in, and also the accountability aspect of it as well, which is really important. So just remember, online quotes, they sell the business. They emphasize features and inclusions and checklists and sometimes price, whereas in-person quotes, it's more about selling you. It's about selling your standards, your expectations, your values, and your confidence, which is a super important part of it as well. And, most clients, they don't know how to assess a good cleaner. A lot of people, they've never had a cleaner before. A lot of people have had many bad cleaners that they're not happy with, and they don't know how to gauge a really good cleaner. And if you're listening to this podcast, I can only assume that you're good at what you do and you want to grow your business because you're good at it and you're committed. So, you're already better than all these people you're competing with. And so you just need to be able to convey that with your target audience. And this is the best way to do it. So, they're going to use you as a proxy for quality. And if you show up sharp, confident, professional, on time, all that stuff, your price is going to feel justified no matter what it is. And I always say to people that when someone says they're scared to charge, if people come and they're like, I charge 40 an hour, I don't know how I could ever go up to 60 an hour. I'm like, if you think you'd be uncomfortable charging 60 an hour, what I want you to do is, if that's like 50% higher than what they're charging, I want you to charge double what you're charging now for the next 10 people and then see what happens. And, you'd be surprised by just how many people you actually close by, doubling your prices. A lot of people are scared to go up by 10, 20, 30%. I'm like, double it and you'll see. At a certain point, price no longer matters. It's about all those other things we talked about, all those other touch points and considerations. And yeah, that's pretty much my 2 cents on it. Online quotes, yeah, sure, they scale better, but they're only going to scale volume. And in person is where you scale quality, which is, in my opinion, what we should all be going for. So, but of course, you want to have both. There's going to be customers that will never want to do an in-person quote and they want to do online. So you give them the option. But the high quality customers, the high value customers, they're always going to opt for an in-person quote. So don't subscribe to what the naysayers are saying and, telling you not to do in-person quotes anymore. I don't know if this is like a niche kind of argument, but I thought I'd just give my 2 cents on that. And the numbers don't lie. Like I said, 5 to 10% is our conversion rate for online quotes, as opposed to around 90 to 95% for in-person. It's a staggering difference. And it really is just that psychological barrier that you're overcoming the moment you step into someone's house. It's like they've already sold themselves on you. And the moment you step into their house, you've already overcome so many different fears and like these subconscious biases, like, reliability, punctuality, quality, trust, all these things, and having a stranger in their home, all that stuff. That's overcome the moment you step into someone's house, and 90% of the selling is done. All you have to do is not screw it up, and you've got the customer 90 to 95% of the time. And, just ask yourself, if you were letting a stranger into your home every week, would you rather choose them from a form or from a face-to-face conversation? So, just keep that in mind, something to bear in mind. But that's my opinion on that. I don't know. Lately I've been seeing it a lot. I've been seeing it in a lot of comment sections. People are questioning it, and there's videos being made by certain gurus saying you shouldn't do in-person quotes, but that's just my experience with it. My experience is that it's gotten me to a pretty substantial sized business, especially in the residential space. There's not many businesses this size, or the size of my business in the residential market. And, yes, it is a grind. Yes, it is more work and more effort, but ultimately it leads to better quality customers that are willing to pay more, that are going to be hassle-free, and they're actually going to appreciate the work you do, and it's going to create that harmonious cycle, that virtuous cycle where the customers are happy, you're happy, your staff are happy, and everything's great. So I think it's a good precedent to set when you want to go for customers. I think it's a great first touch point. I think it's a great start to the working relationship between you and the customer. I think it's something we should all continue to do, and it's something that we're always going to do. Like Stacey down in Bunbury, managing that Bunbury location, she's still doing in-person quotes. She's still closing 95%. I'm still closing around 90 to 95 in Perth. Our online quotes are abysmal. We don't even really care about them anymore. And that's just kind of my experience and my 2 cents. So I thought I'd weigh in. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your numbers are like, if you've had more success with online quotes, or If you have less success with in-person, I'd be keen to hear your experience with that, but that is mine. And, if you've got any tips for me about how I could improve my online process, that would be greatly appreciated as well. I am never opposed to learning ways that I can improve my processes as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and let me know your experiences and what you think about that. But that is my 2 cents on quoting. I always think you should do in person. I think it's going to reign supreme over any other type. And don't listen to what all the other people are saying online, because it might lose you money in the long run. So take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your day/week, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.